Hey guys, Banana156 here with another video. Uh, Remember to subscribe, like, comment, do all that stuff. I do read all comments, so make sure to leave one. And if you have a disagreement with me, leave it in the comments. And if you dislike the video, dislike the video. But yeah, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the American prison system. And now, I'm sure most of you have heard that America is the freest country on the planet, or the freest place on the planet. But is it though? Is it really free? Well, I have some statistics here, and America has a population of incarcerated at 2,121,000. That is the most in the world. That is the most in the world in total, and the most in the world per capita. The U.S. incarceration rate per 100 is 655. So that's a lot. Do you want to know what other countries' incarcerations are? Canada is 107 per 100,000. Britain's is 140 per 100,000. France is 105 per 100,000. Germany is 77 per 100,000. Even China is only 120 to 150 per 100,000. Venezuela 178 to 100,000. Cuba 510 to 100,000. Iran 294 to 100,000. What did all the countries that the last countries that I had in common have in common? China, Venezuela, Cuba, and Iran. They are all considered authoritarian dictatorships, or at least more authoritarian than the U.S. And they all have significantly less incarceration rate per 100,000 and total than America does. So, what does that say? The next statistics I want to talk about is 4% of the total world population is the U.S. The U.S. has 4% of the total population of the world. But it has 22% of the world prison population. We make up nearly a quarter of all people incarcerated, despite only making up 4%. So, but now I feel like those are pretty damning statistics. And not only do we have a lower incarceration than all those authoritarian regimes, and I'm not defending those regimes, but all those regimes considered more authoritarian than us. We have more incarcerations than the Soviet Union in Stalin's prime had. That's how many incarcerations that we have. So, what's the problem with our prison system? Well, first of all, our prison system, which a lot of things are geared toward, and which is a problem, is profit. You know, I haven't talked about profit enough on this channel, and that's what the main focus of the next couple months will be on profit, and will be on capitalism, because I want to focus on that. If you hear a dog barking, that's my dog. I'm sorry. So the prison system is geared to make a profit. How does it make a profit? Well, let's start off with the drug war in the 1980s. We arrested a ton of people for nonviolent drug offenses, and we filled up our prisons really quickly in the 80s when the drug war really was reaching its heights. So what did we do? We had no prison space. We hired prison contractors, and we started prison contracts. And how were those prisons paid? They were paid based on how many people they had in their prison. And not only were they paid on that, they were guaranteed to have at least 90% capacity for most of them, some of them even 100. So we gave these prisons make money for having people arrested, which incentivizes arresting people, which incentivizes getting the prison population higher. So see, there's that. And not only these prisons are guaranteed 90% occupancy, which means they're either going to be basically full, or if they don't reach that, they'll still be paid like it. So your tax-paying money will be going to be paying for private prisons and paying for their red line to go up. That's what's happening there. The next thing is, let's talk about other things that are profitable. The food companies selling gruel, which is has no nutritional value to prisons, makes a healthy profit because it's cheap to produce and they can sell it for a lot. Or how the phone companies charge massively high per minute fees for phone calls because they know how desperate prisoners are to talk to their loved ones. What about, and now what's the next stage of making profit for this prison system? Oh, what about slave labor? I'm sure most of you know that California makes their prisoners fight wildfires, and do you know how much they're paid? $2 an hour is the best, sometimes $2 a day. They get paid $2 an hour. The federal minimum wage is $7.25, and that has been determined to be a starvation wage, to not even be a living wage, and they're getting paid less than a third of that, or less than a third. The prisoners are, and it's not even that most of the time. It's $2 per day a lot of the time. $2 per day, and they have no choice. They're being forced to do this. Now, $2 per day, it doesn't seem like a lot. But what about all the other forced labor they're supposed to do, like digging mass graves for COVID because of the pandemic? They were paid 12 cents an hour, 12 cents, and they had no choice to do it or not. This is slave labor. They have no choice. They are in prison, and you are exploiting them for labor to make a profit. This is slavery. And not only is it slavery, the drug war led to over-policing of impoverished areas, which made it so poorer people are in prison more often, which means that you are basically making it illegal. You are making a lot of poor people just go and be slaves. Now, the next part that I want to talk about is systemic racism. Obviously has a large play in our prison system, and I haven't touched on systemic racism very much. I will do a whole video on that in the future, but I'm just going to touch on it a little bit. So, if a black person and a white person with the same criminal record commit the same crime, they get different sentences. Who do you think gets the longer sentence? The black person does. The black person gets a 20% longer sentence on average than the white person. That is absurd. That is extremely racist, and is just a way. This is just them trying to keep slavery back in place. And here's another damning statistic. The U.S. demographics. This is the percentage of ethnic groups. So 63.7% is white, 16.4% is Latino, and 12.2% is black. And then the other percent is miscellaneous, or a bunch of other groups. Do you want to hear the demographics in men prisons? 39% black, 31% white, and 23% Latino. That's damning. But why does that happen? Why does that happen? Well, because of segregation and slavery, black people are going to have less wealth, and they're going to be in poorer areas. And as we went over, poor areas are over-policed, meaning to more arrests. And not to mention biases with judges and the incredibly racially biased judicial system that we have. That goes along with it to make black people get arrested more. So yeah, so now I can complain about this all day, but it won't do anything without fixing it, right? I'll just be complaining. But, you know, I don't even have to come up with a whole new system, because there's plenty of better systems. Our system is widely considered the worst in the developed world. So, you know what, for this second half of the video, I'm going to look at Norway and Finland, because I believe their systems are very good. We're going to mainly focus on Norway for now, though. So Norway has an incarceration rate of 60 per 100,000, which is very good, one of the lowest in the world. And Norway's prison system is often considered the most humane prison system in the world, and they have a prison system geared towards rehabilitation rather than punishment. Meaning they don't want to punish you. They want to rehabilitate you back into society. They don't want to punish you, which is the exact opposite from the U.S. prison system. The U.S. prison system is designed to punish you, to make you scared, to make you scared to never commit a crime. But you know what happens once you get out of prison? You can't find a job. So you know what people end up doing? They end up committing like these stupidly small crimes just to go to prison so they get a roof over their head. This is not, punishment doesn't work. We must be geared toward rehabilitation. So, Norway has one of the lowest reoffense rates in the world. Why do they have that? Well, because their prison system is geared to rehabilitation. They have their prisons allow for good relationships with the guards, or the contact officials, I think they're called, And not only that, the contact officials have to go through a 2-year degree to become one, which is a lot less than, or which is a lot more. So as I was saying, the contact officials have to get a 2-year degree, which is a lot more than American prison officers have to get. Now the next thing I want to talk about is, why did Norway improve their prison system the way it did? Norway improved its prison system because in the late 80s and 90s, it was in response to a ton of riots, high reoffense rates, and the murder of 2 correlation officials. So they saw a problem and they fixed it. They saw that the prison system wasn't doing its job properly, so they fixed it. And how did they fix it? They wanted to gear it more towards being as normal as possible, being more geared toward rehabilitation rather than punishment, and trying to make it as good as possible for people to be there. So yeah, how are Norway's prisons designed? Well, the cells are much like dorm rooms. They have DVD players, TVs, nice comfy beds, nice creature comforts. It's like a pretty comfortable place to be. And there's communal areas you can access. There's a kitchen you can access. You can play card games. You can play board games with other inmates or with correlation officials. Or yeah, I think they're called correlation officials. You can play board games with them. You can talk to them, and you can read books. You have really good freedom, and you get to wear normal clothes too, and you get to just. It's much like living in a college dormitory. And they do this because they want prison to be as similar to society as possible. So it's a lot easier for inmates to go back into society, reintegrate, and have a normal life. And yeah, that's the point of prison, to rehabilitate and get people back into normal society. So, and I don't know if I've said this already, but they're often accredited with Norway is often accredited with having the most humane prison in the world. That prison is the Halden prison. It was opened in 2010, and it was designed specifically with this intent in mind. It was designed to maximize rehabilitation over punishment. But yeah, the next country I want to talk about is Finland. Finland is much like Norway and other Nordic countries. But their incarceration rate was a lot higher in the 50s. Their incarceration rate was around 200 per 100,000 in the 50s. And since then, it is now around 60, which is about the same as Norway, and it is one of the lowest in the world. How did they do this? They did the same thing that Norway did. They identified the problem with their prison system, and they fixed it according to what works best, which is rehabilitation over punishment and giving people actual freedom. Oh, and I forgot to mention this in the Norway segment. In Norway, the maximum prison sentence is 21 years, which is great. And now let's look at the incarceration rates of the U.S., because Finland's prisons are very much similar to Norway's prisons. So the incarceration rate of the U.S. has taken like an exponential curve up since the 1970s. And if you look at that, that's about the time the drug war started, which is cool. But yeah, it's taken an exponential rise since then. But the craziest thing about that is that the crime rate has dropped significantly. So they're just arresting people for the sake of profit and slave labor. That's the point of the prison system, to generate profit. That's the point of every system in America. And the last thing I want to talk about is in Finland. There's a museum of a prison from the 19th century, or from the early 19th century. And they use the museum as like a teaching tool and a reminder of how bad they used to be at prison systems. And you know what? It is indistinguishable from an American prison. Honestly, it looks kind of better. It looks exactly like an American prison today. That's how. And if that doesn't make you mad, I don't know what will. Our prison system is in the past, and it is made for profit. It is not made to better society and better the people within it. It is not made for rehabilitation. It is made for punishment and profit. So yeah, in conclusion, our prison system is geared toward profit and punishment when it needs to be geared toward rehabilitation and bettering society. Because when you gear things towards profit, it leads to worse outcomes for the people involved, and only leads to better outcomes for the people at the top. But yeah, Norway and Finland have great prison systems. along with Sweden and Denmark. They all have great prison systems, and we can learn a lot from them. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. I do read all comments, so make sure to leave one. And if you dislike the video, leave a dislike. And if you disagree with me, leave a comment, and we can argue in the comments. Or not argue, have a conversation in the comments. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Thanks for all the recent support on the videos. Thank you all so much, and I will see you guys